What is up, everybody? Luke Film Boss here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Pixar's Elemental. Now, when I saw the trailers for Elemental, I started off like cautious, like this looks like it could be very generic. Then I watched the second trailer, I'm like, this looks awful. Like the characters look generic and boring, but the world building just doesn't make any sense. The world as a whole in this movie just didn't look like it made any sense. And so I thought the movie looked terrible, but it ended up being almost exactly like I thought in terms of the world building. The world of these elements just makes absolutely no sense. Half of the jokes that are and like the puns that are made are just like there for stupid, unfunny moments that the filmmakers thought were funny and like thought were clever, like with how the elements transport to places, like their transportation is just like, how does this work? Why is this the way it is? Why are these elements, why and how are they coexisting? How did they even make this civilization when they are all elements? How did they make buildings and stuff? It's like it doesn't explain like I guess it kind of makes sense because you got like earth, water, fire, and air, which are the elements, but then you got like sand. Like why isn't sand like a living being in this? Sand is just like an object, as is water for some reason. Like there's people that are literally made out of water, but yet water is still like a thing. It's like a substance. It doesn't make any sense in my opinion. But I guess, I mean, if you think about it, people are like what, 70% water, but yet water is still something. I don't know. That's not really the same thing because these are literally water people. I don't know. That stuff didn't really make sense, but the romance between water and fire is necessary for this story to work as good as it does. Like it's they're somewhat the opposite attracts kind of romance slash the forbidden love kind of thing, and it all works. It's not great, and there was moments in this movie that I just thought were kind of dumb or annoying, but it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. It's not just two random complete opposite strangers just meet each other and fall in love. It's much more natural, and there's like a process to how they meet, and like how they fall in love. It's a good stuff. And then there's like the drama where like you don't really know if they can be together, and you have to like watch it and see how it turns out. And there's a lot of good stuff that happens. I was like hoping for like a Romeo and Juliet kind of situation, but that's not what happened. But what happens is, in almost in a way, it was about to be close to that. At first, I thought we were going to get a moment that was going to be similar, and then I'm like, yeah, Pixar's not going to do that. And then I was like, okay, this ending is pretty good. It surprised me. Uh, so overall, I like the plot more than I thought I would, and the characters are not super bad. Like some of them I didn't really care for, like the Cloud Lady. She's not bad, but like I didn't really like her that much. And then there's Wade, the water guy, and so I enjoyed him. He's charming. He's respectful. He's a much better guy than I thought he was gonna be. I thought he was gonna be like this guy that was gonna try to get Ember to break out of her shell and rebel against her parents, which is, in a sense, it's not what he does. He doesn't try to get her to rebel, but he tries to get her to think for herself, which is actually a good thing. So I liked how the plot and the messages started to unfold. You have Ember, and she's just beautifully animated. Like she's just gorgeous. Like she's got those big old eyes and that fire inside of her, and actually fire all around her. She's just really fiery. As are her parents. I really like the way that the fire is animated in this movie. It just really, it's the standout for the animation and the visuals is the fire effects. The water and stuff, it's good, but the fire is really what stands out. And Ember, she's a very likable character. She's sweet, but yeah, she has a temper, and so like part of her journey and her arc in this movie is learning how to just calm down and like control that fire, that rage that's inside of her. And I thought it was funny because I work in retail, and so like that's part of her thing is she's gonna be taking over her father's like little shop, and she just has problems with customers because customers can be annoying sometimes, and I understood that, especially being that that very day I was kind of like, when I watched the movie at work, I was like getting so fed up with some customers, and it's like I finally got through the day without snapping, because I'm pretty good. I'm much better than Ember at not snapping at people. But then, like, watching the movie, it's like seeing her like blow up at customers when they're being annoyed. It's like, yes, that's how I feel inside. That's just perfect, and it like resonated with me. It's like I can understand how Ember feels and how she wants to like kind of go on and do something else. Like she wants to go make some glass or something. Like she wants to pursue a trade rather than the retail. Like it's relatable stuff, and that's pretty good. And then it's like that's the plot side. I don't want to spoil too much of the plot, but it's actually pretty solid. Like Wade and Ember meet under pretty bad circumstances where Wade, he's like a city inspector or whatever, and he like stumbles upon the shop through a series of events, and then he writes up uh, Ember's father's shop, and he's gonna get them shut down. But then Ember like gives him this sad story about how it's gonna be all her fault, and her father is gonna like be so disappointed in her. And Wade's a big old softy, so he like wants to change his mind, but by then he's already sent in the the report or whatever. And so the main plot is Ember and Wade trying to save Ember's father's shop from getting shut down. And so there's a lot of fun stuff. And through that, through them meeting under those circumstances, they slowly get to know each other. And that's where the romantic stuff comes in, and they go on dates and stuff. And it's actually quite fun. It's quite heartwarming, and a lot of drama towards the end between Ember and her parents, and Ember and Wade and Ember's parents. There's a lot of good stuff here. And while there's a lot of moments, like I said, that I didn't care for, some of it is very generic, some of it is very nonsensical in the world building aspect. It's not as creative as the filmmakers think it is. It does work, and the fire and water aspect does work very well. Earth and the air are just kind of there as things in this movie. Like, I liked Claude. He's like a little Earth dude who has a crush on Ember. He's just the man. He'd be pimping. He's a fun character. A lot of little side characters in this movie. I didn't really care for the lesbian sister of Wade. That was just thrown in there because Disney 2023, modern day Disney, has to throw that in there. So if you don't like that stuff, if that's one of the reasons you didn't like Lightyear, be aware that the lesbian couple is in this movie. I didn't like that part, and quite frankly, that whole scene with them in there was like one of my least favorite scenes in the movie, even if you exclude the lesbian sisters. So like, it didn't really affect my overall rating because there was already a lot of stuff that I didn't care for, but there's also a lot of really good stuff. And for the most part, that's like the only thing that's wrong with this movie from a like Christian moral standard, was that one scene. Everything else I think is pretty solid. I mean, there is spiritualistic things, like the fire people have like this spiritualistic like blue flame or whatever, and it's supposed to protect their family. There is some of that stuff in there, but overall it's all fake. It's like this fire, they come from like this fire nation tribe or whatever, something, and so they have these like family traditions and stuff. And so like some of that was, it was good, and there is actually some good emotional stuff that come through the father's past from being part of that, the Fire Nation, how he passes that on to the daughter, and the daughter respects that. And overall, I just like the way the message is. I don't want to spoil too much, but Ember just feels like she has so much to repay to her father, or like because her father made so many sacrifices to give her a good life, she has to repay that back by taking on the shop for her father. And so that's what caused a lot of the main emotional tension in this movie. And I love the way it ended. Very solid ending. I'm not going to spoil if it's happy or sad. I'll let you go see it for yourself if you want to, but I just enjoyed this movie. And there are some really amazing moments, especially towards the end. Visually gorgeous, and just um, emotionally impactful and just beautiful through and through. So while I'd say this overall is it's not one of the worst. It's not near the worst film to come out this year. I actually thought it was a good movie. It has some pretty just bad or mediocre stuff in it that just make this not a great movie, but there's some amazing moments that were well built up to, and the characters are very solid so that when those emotional moments do hit, you really feel it. And there was a lot of moments where it's like it probably was the most heartwarming film, the most emotionally impactful film, maybe besides Guardians 3 that I've seen this year. So, I mean, there's been some good ones like Creed 3, but like this movie, I'd say, has honestly some of the best movie moments that I have seen all year. And that's attributed to Pixar because they're good at doing that. When they do it good, they do it good. And this movie was like mostly just bland, bad, modern day Disney, Pixar, Disney animation stuff, but it had a little bit more of that amazing Pixar charm and just Pixar pizzazz that we were used to. It's just not a whole movie of that. It's just a movie with those moments in there. And so I'm sad to say that it's not a Pixar masterpiece, but I wasn't expecting it to be. And it surprised me by actually being a good movie. So overall, I give Pixar's Elemental a 75% in quality, a 71% in enjoyment, for an overall score of 73%. And I'm sorry to the person that you know who you are if you're watching this. This movie is better, and I slightly liked it more than the Super Mario Bros. Movie because the Super Mario Bros. Movie was just a bunch of fun nothing. Elemental is just a bunch of confusing, mediocre something. And something is still more than nothing, even if that nothing was pretty fun. So that's my review on Pixar's Elemental. What did you think if you saw the movie? Please comment down below what you thought. And please like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content. And hit that notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Film Boss.